Welcome to Making and Treating of Steels course. Today I am going to introduce Unit 4. It broadly covers continuous casting process which was under practice in modern industries. Any of the integrated steel plant after producing from primary steel making, that particular liquid steel goes to the continuous casting plant. It is solidified and further it goes to the ancillary plants such as rolling and forging units. This particular continuous casting as important predominant step in integrated steel plant before going to the finishing operations such as rolling and conversion into the plates and sheets form and wire and rod form. It is essential. It produces semi-finished goods, continuous casting, and the other things are going to be introduced here. Cast semi-finished products, grain structure. What is the grain structure or what is the cast structure, casting product structure? What are the heat transfer zones? What kind of heat transfer phenomena are involving in continuous casting process? And mold making, what are the types of mold, what is the mold making material, and what are the casting defects, erases, and what are the modern developments in the continuous casting plant are going to introduce in this particular unit. Now I am going to talk about this particular process. Before going to introduce continuous casting process, in the history, it was started with ingot mold. The ingot molds are independent molds. There will be a base plate and over the top there will be a tapering section. It is protected with brick lining and it is made up of cast iron, tapering towards bottom or tapering towards top. This is wide end up, this is narrow end up. These kind of molds were in practice before development of continuous casting process. Even today, for production of alloy steels and special steels, even secondary refining process, secondary steel making process uses ingot mold making steps. So it is essential to know earlier when it was under practice, this ingot mold making or casting process around 4%. In 1970 it was 4%. The continuous casting process was practiced by other industries only 4%. In today 2000 it is around 94% of the plants are converted into continuous casting process. These are the two different molds and so there are problems. At the surface there will be many defects. Surface cracks usually happens. Uneven shrinkage occurs. For that there was another development. It is kind of a cap. It is refractory brick and refractory lining and a layer of fire clay is made up and kept on this particular ingot so that you can avoid such kind of casting defects. This is a solution for the problem arised in this. But why this particular design is chosen, narrow end up and wide end up? It is for the easy removal of casting product after solidified. You can easily remove, and the refractory lining given for this cast iron mold is for the easy removal of casted or solidified product. That particular point one need to remember about these two things. There may be many conceptual questions in the Viva and gate examination, please concentrate on this particular thing. Now coming to the, if I take one particular ingot mold, what are the heat transfer modes in ingot mold casting? For example, the highest temperature was for liquid steel. Within the liquid steel, the heat transfer phenomena within the liquid steel, we call it as a convection heat transfer. And as it is been, the temperatures are dropping down, latent heat is going out, the heat dissipation is occurring because of this particular, after pouring the liquid steel, when it was coming in contact with the mold, so usually the temperature drop downs. There will be temperature gradient, heat transfer gradient exist. The in between solidified steel, if I after complete solidifying, so I call it as a solidified steel, the heat transfer within the solidified steel is conduction, and in between that particular zone within the mold is mushy zone. It is the coexistence phase of liquid and solid. It is semi-solid phase. It is called mushy zone. Remember this new term. And this particular mold, if you see another point, as the liquid steel is being poured and as it is being getting solidified, there will be air gap exist. That particular air gap is nothing but air and is nothing but radiation. It is in contact with solidified steel. That is why the air gap is the heat transfer mode of conduction and radiation. The mold heat transfer, it extracts it absorbs the heat. So within the mold, the heat transfer mode is conduction, and outside the mold, surrounding of the mold is nothing but air. It is convection within the air, convection, and this particular heat radiation. So it is combination of gas, air is gas, convection, and heat radiation. It is also a radiation. This particular graph can also be analyzed. This is highest temperature, the temperature is coming down. This is wall of the mold, and as you are going to the other end of the mold, distance of the mold, and this particular normal procedure, normally you can define and you can understand heat transfers. In our metallurgical industry, steel making ladle or steel making furnace also interpret these kind of heat transfer. There are many questions are going to appear on heat transfer, and it is also the part of the subject of transport phenomena. Deeply it will be covered there. Now let me take few example of ingot mold and casting process. Ingot molds and casting process. Initially you will take liquid steel and fill in the ladle and allow for this particular bottom plug, and which is controlled with sliding gate for the flow control of liquid steel, and it is been allowed to pass through this particular thing is called, this straight one is called shroud, and this is called pouring basin, and these particular side molds are cast iron molds and refractory line, and it is being connected to these two molds simultaneously. This is runner and this is risers. These are the risers. This is runner and this is a gating system. In the ingot mold process, this particular process, as you are pouring the liquid steel, it is filling two molds simultaneously. You are pouring from shroud, and if you want to stop, you can use sliding gate and you can stop once it is completed. Allow for the solidifying, and remove that particular molds. And another process is called downhill teaming process. This particular process this is base plate. You have multiple molds. This is one mold, this is another mold. After filling in one mold, using this particular shroud with the slide gate flow control from the teaming ladle, you have to fill it, allow for the solidifying, and you need to move with the crane mechanism to another mold. You need to do. Whereas in the case of uphill process, this is hills are forming from the upside, and these hills are formed from the downside. So that's why by the process it is been named uphill teaming process, downhill teaming process, and it is also having another name called top ingot mold. This is top ingot mold process, and this is bottom filling, and this particular thing is bottom filling. This is bottom filling method, and this is top filling method. This is called direct filling method. This is indirect filling methods. There are many differences. One may ask that question that what is the difference between indirect ingot molding process and direct molding process, top molding process, bottom molding process, and uphealing process, downhealing process. The names are similar. Based on the process you can define. The another ingot molding process is using this sprue and runner and gate. You can connect this kind of uphealing process extended to many mold, and you can fill simultaneously. Using this gate, this particular mold is filled. Simultaneously you can fill, feeding into the many mold. This after solidifying with the crane mechanism, the solidified ingot is stripped out. That particular step is called stripping, and this particular solidified ingot is soaked for 1 hour for next art working process, which is finishing operation such as rolling. Art working process example is art rolling process. It is been soaked for 1 hour and taken to the art rolling process, converted this particular ingot into the plate type, sheet type, and depending upon the applications. Please understand these important points. Now let me highlight the structure of ingot casting. The structure looks like this is a mold wall, and nearest to the mold wall there will be very small grains appears. That particular zone is called chill zone. Immediately, because of the temperature difference for the liquid steel and mold, it nucleus to the smallest grains, and after this particular chill zone, the heat transfer is this opposite direction, and columnar grains grow up the other direction. Heat transfer, heat extraction direction is opposite. The columnar grains is both the things are opposite in direction, and in the center of the mold, because of the heat transfer, the heat is homogenized. Equiaxed central zone equiaxed grains are formed, and this is cross section. And if you take a this is cross section. If you take a longitudinal section, you can again explain these particular zones. Chill zone, and this particular grains are central equiaxed grains. These particular grains are columnar grains in the longitudinal. One can interpret in two different ways. This is the structure of ingot casting. Now coming to the ingot casting, there will be many defects, and when you are producing the ingot casting after solidifying, if the dissolved oxygen rate is varying, the dissolved oxygen rate in the case of kiln steel is very low, dissolved oxygen, and in the case of semi kiln steel, partial, and in the case of rimming steel, the dissolved oxygen is very high. Assume that these particular blowhole, one of the casting defect, are high. It is nothing but dissolved oxygen form which creates this kind of casting defects. And another point of difference is the carbon content is around 0.3 percentage in the case of kiln steel, and this is 0.15 to 0.3, and here it is less than 0.15 percentage of carbon. The carbon content is low here, carbon content is higher. Now coming to the defects, here you see the shrinkage happened. In the case of semi kiln and rimming steel, the surface is flat, and the dispersion of dissolved oxygen is more in the case of rimming steel. Because of this particular shrinkage, you see the defect, kind of a pipe formed within the ingot, solidified ingot, during ingot casting route. These particular pipes are unnecessary defects. At the finishing up, this is semi-finished casting. At the finishing route, it is been removed out, it is been separated, and only this particular part is taken for the finishing operations, for hot rolling operations. And whereas this particular semi kilns and rimming steels has an advantage that because of this particular dissolved oxygen is high and carbon is low, and these particular things, blowholes kind of things, at the stage of finishing operations such as hot rolling, it is welded out, it is mixed within the cast structure, it is removed out, it is been taken into the surface, and you can compensate with the less surface, you can strip off. Similarly in the rimming steel also, but for the kiln steel you need to strip out large steel. Even it also, these pipes also gets welded at the hot rolling stage in the subsequent operations after ingot casting at the finishing operation steps. Remember these particular points. Now coming to the conclusion about ingot casting, pipe formation mainly you realize to see in kiln steels, and blowholes are usually observed in semi kiln steel and rimming steels. Columnar structure observed in kiln steel, and segregation is observed in all kind of steels. Segregation is nothing but chemical composition inhomogeneity, and non-metallic inclusions are observed in semi kiln and rimming steels. Internal fracture and airline fractures are observed in kiln steels. The pipes are, the broken type of cracks are formed inside the ingot casting also, and airline cracks, very small airline cracks inside the casting are observed, and surface defects such as cracks are observed in kiln steels only. These particular pipes are encouraged to form shrinkage at the surface. That particular shrinkage leads to the surface crack. Now give your opinion as the conclusion of this particular topic, that ingot mold casting process is old method, but for the special alloyed and alloy steels such as nuclear reactor applications, aerospace applications, this ingot mold process is still under practice in few small scale industries. Is it true or false? Please give your opinion. Thank you.